Shut up and sit
Right.
down.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Raw Emotion. I'm your host, Derek Chappelle. And today we are going to be discussing something called 5G. So, don't know if you've ever heard of 5G. I'm sure you have if you own a cell phone anywhere. Um, you have certainly heard of 5G and the initiative that they're rolling out to get more 5G towers in our area. Today, I've got a special guest, Ilene Reichman. How you doing, Eileen?
Hi, how you doing?
Good, good. And Eileen, the reason why I had you on this particular show is because, well, first of all, we've been trying to do this for a while now, right? About 6 months,
Absolutely.
but everything in divine timing. And this is really good timing, actually, for this particular show because we are talking about 5G. And, they've been really trying to roll this out here as of late to get this 5G turned on. And it just so happens that you actually have a special product that can help protect you from these 5G waves, also called EMF, right? So before we get into that, why don't you give us a little bit about your background, kind of what you do, and then we can talk a little bit about EMF and all that good stuff.
Great. Well, let me start with my background. I'm I've been a lawyer for almost 40 years. I was a prosecutor and an inspector general, and I worked for different judges in criminal and civil matters. But sorry, I have a little puppy here, so he might be popping up. Uh,
That's all right.
I have two nutrition degrees. I'm getting my doctorate in natural medicine, where my dissertation is on technological stress, how it affects the human body. And I'm a certified coach, speaker, and trainer with the John Maxwell team, as well as I'm an advanced clearing energy practitioner with John Newton. So that's part of what I do. I don't want to take the whole time because I'm a big learner. So, you keep getting a booklet of certifications.
Yeah, sounds like you have certainly stacked it up there. But that's a lot of good knowledge to have, especially in this day and age. And the fact that you're helping people develop and that's good stuff. That's good stuff. So that's a great perspective to have on this topic. Especially when you talk about technology and how it affects us emotionally.
Absolutely.
A big thing that we talk about on this show is, it is called raw emotion, right? And, emotion affects us in some way, somehow in our everyday life and every single thing that we do. Part of this human experience is to work with emotion, right? Is to not let it work us, but for us to work with it and to be
That's
able
a great
to.
way to say it.
Yeah, yeah. And so we need to and saying that, we need to also be aware of the many things out there that affect our emotion that we don't even think about, right? And that includes technology.
Exactly.
Now, talk to me a little bit about can you tell me something about EMF because that's kind of the big discussion with 5G, right? Is how does it affect us as human beings? And from what I understand, EMF is a big part of that.
Yes. Well, also, just to piggyback on what you just said about emotion, we are emotional beings, and every action we take comes from emotion, whether we like to think it or not, whether we're like, we're Dwayne The Rock Johnson, it doesn't matter. We're all emotional beings, and we have to be conscious of everything that emotionally affects us, whether it's the food we put in our mouth down to the technology that we have no control over. So that's where EMFs come in. An EMF excuse me, is a frequency that is emitted by cell phones, Wi-Fi, computers, cell towers, microwave, fluorescent lighting, and even baby diapers, if you can believe that. Thanks to one of the
Really?
big baby diaper companies, a parent will now get a signal when their child needs to be changed. Like, why go and pick the child up, right? So
Wow.
we have this electrical frequency that is bombarding us. And there are different types of frequencies. We were all living with 4G for a while. And just briefly, what a G is when we talk about EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies, is it's G is only generation. You know how like we're up to like iPhone 46 or whatever it is, you need a wheelbarrow to carry it.
Right.
Well, that's just a level of EMF penetration that we have. 1G really quickly was our ability to make a call without being hooked to a wall. 2G was our ability, a phone that could text, a portable phone that could text. You might remember the big phones. I'm 65, so I remember the sitcoms where they picked up the big phones and they were like half the size of their body.
Yeah, yeah.
3G was the ability to actually look at websites, purchase online. And 4G was what we were dealing with up until about 2 weeks ago. 4G is a wave, an electromagnetic frequency that's 6 to 12 megahertz. It's like a wave, like an ocean wave. But 5G is a different sort of wave. First of all, it sits on top of 4G. It's not instead because they really can't turn it off. That's the scary part. And
Wow.
it's a perpendicular wave that's 60 to 120 megahertz. So if you are using 5G, you are being bombarded constantly, like it's almost like when your stereo bass is up to like 2000 and it beats and your chest goes. This is what EMF is doing. It's a silent toxic killer. And now that we have 5G, it's even scarier. And people ask, well, where did 5G come from? Well, 5G was found by the military. It was used for crowd control because they could affect how people felt, again going back to emotion. And it has the ability to penetrate skin. 4G could not. Now, what's bad about penetrating skin is, first of all, forgetting about skin rashes and anxiety as this penetrates your brain, it forces your cells to freeze open. Now, the we as biological beings function is we take in oxygen and food through our cells, and good stuff in, bad stuff out. And if we're healthy, it gets emitted, the garbage goes out. Now with 5G, 5G freezes these cells open, so it's in and out and in and out and in and out. Another bad thing about 5G is, as opposed to 4G, 4G cell towers were every 3 miles. And 5G now has to be every half a mile because the wave goes and then drops. And, in the promise of driverless cars and faster internet, we can't have anything buffer. I mean, I have kids that freak out when they don't immediately get, their internet working.
Oh
And I
my
joke,
god, yes, I
when I
know.
raised my kids, I was a single mother for a while. I mean, I raised them with a dial up computer and no cell phone, and wow, my 3 sons are still alive. So that's a little bit about 5G. I can go on about how dangerous it is and how it messes with your brain. I mean, there have been studies that show the incidence of brain cancer in teenagers has increased by 25% because of their screen time. And as of 2 weeks last Wednesday, 5G was rolled out in a very big way.
So let's talk about that real quick because that has been out in the news media and all that for a minute now. That 5G has rolled out. What's interesting too about all these new 5G towers that have rolled out is that some of the ailments that come from 5G are very similar to the vid-19 ailments. Did you know that?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
So
Forgive me.
some of the ailments that are caused by 5G are very, very like the COVID-19.
Yes, there's a very big comparison. People where we met, I had very long conversations with naturopathic doctors. This was, I think, a year or two ago, and they were talking about the similarity to the symptoms of EMF, electromagnetic frequency similarities, to the symptoms of COVID. And another thing that scary about 5G, especially, is it really drops your immune system because we're all emotional electrical beings. That's why, remember on the old TV shows, people who had heart issues, you'd see that they were shocked back to life. And then when you have to examine your brain, they measure brain activity electrically. We are electric beings, we are emotional beings. So it's one thing that we have to be very careful of because 5G really bombards us in that fashion, causing anxiety, irritability, mental illness, cancers, skin rashes, eye issues. And there are so many studies out of Europe, especially Japan, that has to do with diminished vision because of 5G, because they've been using it earlier. Israel, as a matter of fact, shows how you can't even excrete well with sweat glands. And Israel, which is interesting, doesn't even use 4G because they found it too dangerous for the citizens. They rely on 3G. And there are 6 countries in Europe that have prohibited the use of 5G.
That's what I was going to talk about as well. There are countries that have actually banned
Yes,
5G.
very
Now,
big fines, 250,000 euros, which, if I
now,
remember my conversion, that's about $750,000.
mm,
And
now, some
5G
of those
use,
reasons that I was reading had to do. It seemed like it was more political than anything, because some of the technology was coming from China, and they didn't want, for whatever reason, to have their cell towers or their 5G technology in their country. Um, and but some of it is also because of the known problems, the known biological problems that
exactly,
4G that we're discovering is causing.
exactly,
So
exactly.
imagine we're going to step up the technology, which we already have, it sounds like, and what's going to become of that? Here's some. This is a website I found called electricsense.com, and it talks about the 5G radiation danger. Okay. Um, let's see. You said this affects on the skin. So you're talking about essentially it's like being burned by a radiation, right?
It's
Essentially.
even worse.
Some
I mean,
people are
think
just
of
more
Chernobyl.
sensitive to it than others. And then I would imagine too, based on where you're at vibrationally on a vibrational level, which, that's something that's probably a whole nother, path we can roll down. But
Absolutely.
I think where you're at vibrationally also will affect how much damage this technology can do to you or not.
Right,
So this is why it's important for us to have shows like this, because the more knowledge we get, the more our vibration frequency can raise. Our collective consciousness will eventually, hopefully, end some of this stuff. But we're just going to be more knowledgeable as a person, be able to protect ourselves more, right?
right. And it's about personal responsibility. Just tagging on what you just said, all is not lost. It's very interesting. There were two young ladies in their 20s. They didn't even know each other. But as a lawyer, I follow a lot of the websites on health issues and anything that can affect the human body. And these two ladies, one in a suburb of Boston, the other in Maryland, were able to get a law passed that no 5G cell tower could be within 1/2 a mile of a school, church, or daycare center. So if we take personal responsibility, all is not lost.
Right.
We don't have to roll over for these corporations, and it's really all about money. Just as an example from the legal side, we were talking about this earlier. I was on my way back from Florida last week, and the week you all might have seen on the news. This is the end of January. They're talking about how 10 major airlines, Delta, United, Southwest, actually brought what they called an injunction to federal court to try to stop the 5G rollout near airlines because what they discovered was the 5G radiation impacts the band that the pilots need when they need to land without visual confirmation. In other words, if there's a snowstorm and they need to rely on their instruments to tell altitude, which is kind of important, like at what point the plane will impact with the ground,
Yeah.
that 5G will impact their ability to do that. So what
Wow.
was so bizarre was I was just killing time because of COVID. We were waiting for another pilot on the way back, and I was talking to a young man in uniform, pilot's uniform, who turned out to be one of the pilots flying us back. And he was telling us he was surprised 5G was not more in the news because his unions and the flight attendants' unions have been in negotiation to try to prevent it because they know how dangerous it is. And then what ended up happening with this lawsuit was that there was a permanent injunction granted, which meant that the airlines won, but it was a compromise. No 5G cell towers within 2 miles of any major hub. Now, I don't know about you. You know how we all fly. If anybody's ever flown, you need more information for the pilots other than 2 miles away.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
I mean, that was like almost what they call a pyrrhic,
You cover 2
activity.
miles in a matter of seconds.
Yes, exactly, exactly.
So what if
So
they overshoot, you know? They don't.
I don't care about overshooting. I care about impact with the ground because they're talking about altitude. And this pilot was so agitated about it. He was speaking very loudly, and I was so surprised because you know how on the flight attendants they have that, NPR voice,
Mhm.
like public radio voice,
Mhm. Yeah.
like, classical music voice.
Yeah.
This guy was very agitated about it. And it was just a surprise. It was a confirmation of everything I've read and I'm learning, but it was not a happy surprise.
So I don't watch the news much at all, but I do recall seeing something about 5G, on one of the news media sites, but they're being very, very vague about it, and it's just a small blip, and all it says is, pilots concerned about 5G because they don't know, it's new technology and they don't know what it's going to do. So that's a lie. They do know what it's going to do. They're just suppressing it as they
Yes,
do.
that's the scary part. That's why what you're doing is so important because we have to get the information out there. I mean,
Well,
and this is,
interesting about getting information out. There's news, a lot of news now. I was reading about Joe Rogan has a huge following with his podcast, and there's someone trying to pass legislation, or they're trying to um, talk to, yeah, trying to pass legislation basically on misinformation.
right.
And the big thing is they're trying to hold Spotify, which my podcast actually goes through Spotify as well, but they're trying to say Spotify is responsible essentially for having people, that have these type of platforms, that they need to be somehow fact checked or checked on the information that they're talking about. They want to control every bit of information that comes through the radio waves, the internet. It's it's really a fight right now.
No, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. And like I said, I was really surprised. And because this was on ABC World News Tonight, that's where I first saw it, U.S. News and World Report, and all of a sudden it's silence. You don't hear anything about the result of the injunction unless you search for it, and you have to know where to look. And that's the sad state of it. It's unfortunately, I love this country. I do a lot of teaching on this. I love this country. When I travel overseas, I practically hug the customs agents when I get back. But, in this country where entrepreneurship, that's how we were founded, allegedly, but, money walks and,
Hmm.
walk talks. So it's all very money motivated. These companies, like, I think in 2019, I think I sent you a picture. I have a bad picture here of all the cell towers that were rolled out, and that what it was in 2003,
Oh,
and
it's
then what
upside down.
it's upside down. Oh, sorry, thank you. I have vision issues, folks. I
There
apologize.
we go.
And now
Wow.
imagine what it is. This
Oh
is
my
how it was
god.
with 4G. So
Wow.
imagine how many towers we have. It's, oh, actually, here's a picture of, I joke, this is how I look in the morning. Um, but that's what a 5G cell tower does. And people ask me, well, what do I do? That's what it looks like. What do I do if there's one near my house? And I usually say, can you move? Because it's becoming the new smoking. It's becoming,
Mm,
the new, remember at the movies like Erin Brockovich? It's becoming, that silent killer that people are hiding until enough people know about it until we tip excuse me, until we tip the scale where people have that knowledge,
yeah.
which is
It's
why
and
what you
and
did
this
is
is not something the consumer is asking for, by the way. Consumers aren't like, "Oh, give us 5G, give us faster speeds." Like, I think we've reached to the point where the information technology that's popping up on our phones is pretty dang quick. Like,
right,
we're not saying give us faster, faster, faster. This is the companies coming up with things to make more money, more money. This
right.
is
And
all this
I've
is about.
I've been reading they're even looking at 6G, which would be even stronger. And I've had electrical engineers sit on my talks, and one has made me laugh. Stood up right in the middle, and he said, listen to what she's telling you. It's even worse than what she says. Because nobody wants to start a panic where people
Yeah.
run to the door, screaming. But the reality is, we have these cell phones, we have Wi Fi, especially now that we're told to like hide in our homes and work from our homes. I mean, the workforce now is they can't get enough people to work. The economy is booming in that regard. So it's almost like they want to keep us in one small spot and just it's hurting us. It's causing us damage.
One of the things I've read here, this actually affects the heart, EMF. 1992 Russian study found that frequencies in the range of 53 to 78 gigahertz, that which 5G proposes to use, impacted the heart rate variability, an indicator of stress in rats. Another Russian study on frogs whose skin was exposed to MMWs found heart rate changes, so arrhythmias. So it is actually, and that makes sense. Your heart has an electrical pulse.
Exactly.
That's what gets it going. That's what keeps it going. So now you're shooting frequencies that can essentially jump your heart offline.
Right. And remember when you get X-rays and they put the lead belt all over you?
Yeah.
That always made me laugh. After I could no longer reproduce, they still did it. I mean, we don't have a lead belt for our phones. We That's what led me to the company that I'm working with now that we met about where we met at a holistic expo
Well, that's a
because they're
perfect
looking at
segment
you.
because
You're looking for new stuff that's going to help yourself, your family, and your listeners. So you're on a mission also.
absolutely, absolutely. So we were talking about the dangers of these electromagnetic frequencies. Now, the company that you work with actually creates products that help protect you from these frequencies. So, how does the technology and these products work exactly when it comes to protecting you, or at least lessening the damage from the frequency?
Well, that's a perfect way to put it is lessening the damage. Because basically, as we were just saying, we're all electric beings. So even when you're sick, it means they're almost like holes in your field. I'm like a very big Star Trek fan. So to the lay person, I pretty much say it puts a force field around your body, basically. So what happens is
Which
it's indicated.
before you go into that, the whole force field thing is actually a good um, start to this because we all do have these fields around our body, and if you've listened to any of my shows, I'm always talking
Right,
about
100%.
auras and things like that. So this can be measured. You know, if you haven't heard of this before, this can actually physically be measured, and they can see this aura, this energy field around each of our bodies. And so the 5G that's coming in is actually penetrating that. And this product, and that's what you're getting ready to go into, how this kind of helps shield you a little bit from that, right?
Right, exactly. And it pretty much because what 5G does is it's basically shooting like lasers and creating holes in your force field. What this does is it almost puts a shell around you. It actually does put a shell around you, and it protects you. Now, I met these two ladies online 3.5 years ago. One is a holistic practitioner, a chiropractor, who was very much into cranial work and technological stress, and a very good friend of hers who's a jewelry designer. And they created these products. And what they are, they're interchangeable, genuine gemstone and crystal jewelry that elevates your mood, boosts your immunity, and helps counteract EMFs and helps with circulation. They're for men, women, children, and even animals. So the way the technology works is it's so simple. I can show you guys. Every on the back of every stone, which they call a tood. This is the see. I was wearing a necklace like this. On the back, this is a labradorite. I
See
joke
if you
that
can
I
hold it up to your camera there. Yeah, up a little
okay.
bit.
Oh, that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
there you go.
I I joke that I'm a stoner because I love different stones and I believe in their metaphysical properties. Not so much the marijuana kind, but the gemstone kind. And labradorite is a great stone for manifestation if you want to gear towards a goal. But in any event, on the back of every stone, there are these magnets. They're neodymium magnets, and they're each 4,000 gauss. They come in two sizes. One, what they call mega, which is a larger size, the size of a dime. Not, it's not going to make you walk like, bent over. And the other are tiny tubes, which are about, I'd say about the size of a pea, and they each are 4,000 Gauss. The bigger the magnet, the more of radiation circle you have. We were generally figuring out it's different for each person, but the larger magnets will protect you about for a 2 foot radius, and the smaller ones for 1 foot. So they came up with this jewelry. There are necklaces, bracelets, pendants, scarf pins, and even pet tags. And what's so important about the pet tags is we can't forget our dogs and our cats. As an example, we just lost our dog. We have a new puppy, but our dog had very severe arthritis. And when this company came out with these pet tags, and the company is only 3.5 years old, we figured, what the heck, very inexpensive. For $20, we can give it a shot. And within hours, our dog stopped limping. And, we couldn't believe it. We brought it to the vet. There was no change in the x rays. The vet was so concerned and thrilled with her increased range of motion that he bought for his animals personally and for the clinic. And the whole point of that is when we talk, going back to how it's all in our heads, sometimes we want things to work, but our dog didn't care. She just wanted to
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
better.
that's a good point. Yeah.
So that really convinced me.
There's
And
no
so
placebo effect for the dog.
right. And I joke that people will first protect their animals. Like, we just had a big storm, 20 inches. We've made sure we had dog food. Did we have people food? Not so much, but we have enough dog food to hunker down for weeks. But what the cool thing about the jewelry is, I'm just showing you like a necklace. On the back, they have these energy frequencies, and one is far infrared energy that helps with circulation because it's all about movement of the blood and the oxygen. The other are negative ions, which help the body produce more serotonin, which elevate mood. And the other is germanium that helps boost immunity and helps with healing. So on the back of all this jewelry, there are anywhere from 2 to 6 of these energy balls. And it's very, very affordably priced. And we haven't forgotten our guys. There's a whole men's section. And I have to say, what I really love about the ladies that started this company is that when the pandemic hit and kids were not in school and there was all that remote learning, they came out with a very affordable line for children that you can basically get for like pennies a day, like a bracelet where they put around, they put a silicone bracelet, they can even get it wet, and they just need one magnet, it's 4,000 Gauss and they're done. Or a necklace like this, and each of these is a 4,000 Gauss magnet. So the stones for this company that have the magnets start at only $5, and the most expensive at 35, and those are the big one of a kind specialty stones. And the pendants and the settings, they start at $5. It's just an amazing company. It's called Magnitude Jewelry. We'll give you guys the website, and I'm going to give you my email, because if you buy something pursuant to this show, we are going to give you a discount because you are listening in and you are a loyal subscriber or a loyal fan.
Awesome. So tell us the website and then how they can go about and your email, please.
Oh, sure, absolutely. The website is www. You can tell that I'm old because I'm doing the W's. Who, I don't know, anybody remember what they stand for? World Wide Web.
World
Remember?
Wide Web, yep.
You got to rewatch The Matrix to remember all that.
I know,
And it's Tude, Tude, girl, GIRL.com, like attitude, TUDE, GIRL.com. And my email is Ilene, ILENE, at, and then it's Cohn, COHN, leadership, LEADERSHIP.com. So if you have any more questions, you can email me as well. I'll actually show you. Here are some of the tiny stones. I know it's not easy to see.
okay.
Unfortunately, this platform doesn't allow us to
So all different kinds
share.
of colors and different stones, and
Yeah, these are all 4,000 Gauss, which is pretty cool. And they're any
so not
stone you
only
can
are you going
imagine.
to be you're going to have more protection from that EMF,
Yes,
but you're
yes.
also going to
And
look stylish as well.
right, it's, we always joke, we say pick a tude to match your attitude, because there it's interchangeable and you never know what you want to wear. And then, like, I'm wearing, let me take this off. This is a men's bracelet. And hang on one second, guys. These things don't come off easy, which is good. You won't lose them. On the back of the men's bracelet, there are 4 energy frequencies. There are 2 for circulation, for working out. It's really helpful. And on the back, there, on the front rather, there is, you take
The
it off and show.
obsidian,
This is a stone with a neodymium magnet. This is a black tourmaline. And
okay,
this is $10. And these stones are sourced from all over the world. And the price point is amazing because the ladies that
they really
have this
are.
company, they're not about making a buck. And here's like an example of the bigger ones. These are the one of a kind guys. I don't know if you could see it.
Yeah, those are beautiful.
It's hard. I know it's hard to see. I apologize.
Well, but anybody that wants to go to the website, they'll be able to see really nice, clear pictures
Right. There
of
are
these.
thousands. And what's very cool is on the website, under the wellness tab, there are hundreds and hundreds of articles that talk about the efficacy of this jewelry and talk about 5G. A lot about kids. I have to tell you, I was in a beauty salon getting my nails done, and this woman was nursing her baby and talking on her phone. And you had to like hold me down from not going over there and telling her to turn off her phone,
Yeah, but
because children, this is the scary part for kids. Kids' brains are more water soluble than ours as adults. Their skulls are thinner, so the frequencies get in easier. And it's been known to cause ADHD. It's even been known to cause cellular mutation and cancers. And this is stuff that people are not talking about. So it's a very serious thing. And the children's line is very, very inexpensive.
yeah, so we're just, the lady that you saw probably has no clue, right? She has no clue that she's
Right. It's
possibly
There's an
harming her baby.
expression
Yeah.
in the holistic world. You don't know what you know until you know it,
Yes.
right?
Yes, absolutely.
So it has to be all about education.
Yes.
And then, there are going to be people that don't believe you because, my favorite comedian, Chris Rock, got on TV and was talking about how great 5G is. Of course, he was paid $1 gazillion.
Oh, yes.
I was disappointed. But if I had 5 minutes with him, I'm sure he would not
Yeah.
work with Verizon anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's just people don't know. because sadly, with the internet, everybody's attention span is so much shorter, and that's all a result of electromagnetic frequencies. People are more irritable, they have less patience. We were even noticing that because 5G was rolled out about 2 weeks ago. I was having dinner with some other holistic practitioners, and I found that they were actually not acting like themselves. They were being
Oh yeah.
um, angry with the wait staff. And I go to one, "Where's your bracelet?" She's like, "Oh, I took a shower. I left it in the room." And another interesting thing was when our dog with the arthritis was alive, my husband is great. He's a big dog walker in the family. He walked the dog and he said, he came back and he goes, "She's limping again." And I'm like, "What's going on?" I started to get worried. This is one of my children. And he said, "Oh, by the way, her charm fell off." He meant the tag.
Mm.
And then when we put the tag back on, in a short while, she was fine.
Wow.
So people might ask, you were asking in the beginning, and I'm sorry I went off here. How is this measured? Well, I travel with an EMF reader and I show people, and I also do kinesiology muscle testing where you can do it yourself. You can put your phone on, make sure it's active, and hold it to your head, and you're actually going to feel weaker from your phone. Even with 4G, you're going to feel your body is weaker. How does this work? Well, if you took a swig of Coca-Cola, you would also feel bad, and that goes back to what we're talking about with immunity in food. If you've ever noticed when you eat a lot of junk food, you feel tired.
Hmm.
It's your body trying to battle this bad stuff. The
That's right.
same thing with 5G, except we don't have control. We have control over what we put in our mouth. But that's a story for another time with all the subliminal messages and how there's sugar and everything.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely. We can do a whole
yeah,
show on that.
right. That's I speak about that too. But as for now, 2 weeks ago when 5G was rolled out, people are feeling it, and that's scary. Do they know what to do? No. That's why discussions like this and getting out in the public, not getting nasty, like, somebody said, "Oh, I don't believe in any of that." You almost think in your head, okay, I guess we're thinning out the herd. You don't want to do that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's all about, sharing from the heart. And to me, this is why I'm saying, if you order from the show, we'll send you an extra stone or something. Um,
Because
but
at the end of the day, what do you have to lose? You got a nice piece of jewelry, even if you don't believe in it, it's going to work.
it's
so
beautiful.
so you're gonna
It's
you're gonna
beautiful.
see the effect, and maybe you have a loved one that is going through some attitude. I will say maybe need some attitude adjustment.
Right,
Don't get mad at them. Get them a piece
right.
of jewelry.
Help them.
Help
Help
them
them.
exactly.
And Valentine's Day is coming. And a cool thing, the company is sending with every $75 order, they're sending a free heart stone. You get to pick a choice of like 7 different stones. So they're always giving stuff away every month. And this is a direct sales company because when the women who started this company started it about, I think, 4.5 years ago, they were doing shows and they were approached by Shark Tank and Neiman Marcus. And with Neiman Marcus, they wanted to double the cost of the jewelry. Like a tiny two, like one of the natural stones is only $10. There are others for 5. They wanted to double it. And then they did some investigation because they weren't in this for the money, and they launched a direct sales company. So you can actually join this company and share our message. And what I say is, make money and make a difference because you won't believe how how quickly you can affect somebody's life. I mean, when I did an expo last weekend, there were vendors around because people are still afraid to come out. So they were walking and they were wearing some of the jewelry and they were telling me, wow, I mean, I can't believe how good I feel. So you
And
have
I
to
would
sort of
say
see it to
for
believe it.
being a Florida resident, and I don't know if you've ever been driving out here, but I would say that, um, including myself, I've been caught up in this as well. You're driving, people are driving crazy, everybody's in a hurry to get somewhere. You got a mixture of snowbirds down here that are driving
Right.
slow, don't know where they're going. And then you got residents that are driving like they're in a grand. the Grand
Grand Prix, right?
500, the Grand Prix 500 or
NASCAR,
whatever. NASCAR, there you go. So they have a combination of that, and everybody's irritated. Just imagine, like, just imagine if they're wearing this jewelry that affects their attitude for the better. I mean, probably accidents would be down, I would think.
right? No
Um,
road rage,
no road rage. Maybe car insurance would be down. Who knows? I mean, it can affect a really. You think about it.
right?
It's a domino effect. It affects so much.
It's true. And
So,
this is Freddie Mercury, by the way. He also has a little heart pet tag because it
oh,
helps
nice.
with anxiety. And how many animals do you have? Not even the older ones that have arthritis, but the younger puppies that have separation anxiety,
Yeah.
issues with thunder. This really helps him. And he's about to turn 10 months old.
Wow. Oh. So go to tudegirl.com to find this jewelry, read about it, and do your own research about EMF and 5G and how it affects you, and then go back to this website and find something that works for you or for your loved ones or for your animals, especially too. And protect yourself. The more you know, um, this is all about sharing knowledge and
Right.
trying to better people's lives. So um, I thank you for coming on the show. You've been absolutely a wonderful fountain of knowledge. I hope to have you back and we can, talk about some of the other topics we lightly touched on. Um, I
Oh,
just thought
sure.
this one's really important with them just rolling out 5G. And, you know, I'm actually going to go on your website as soon as we get off here and I'm going to order something for myself. I saw a bracelet I liked actually. So I'm going to check that out. And again, thank you for coming on
Thank you so
and
much for having me. And
sharing your
I
knowledge.
should say us, my friend Freddie. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for
And
joining us.
enjoy your nice weather. It's about zero here right now in New York.
Yeah, we're complaining out here in Florida because 40 degrees is just a little too
I
cold
know.
for us.
Get out the furs, right?
Yeah,
Get out the
exactly.
fake furs.
All right, thanks again for joining us. Another episode of Raw Emotion. I'm your host, Derek Chappelle. Until next time, later.